Hello, so we're going to go ahead and create an app here that allows you to sort of give you a team summary. So it'll have one screen that has each member of your team listed, and then it will have another page or another piece of your app where if you click on your team name from the first page, it'll take you to the second page and list out all of the relevant information for whatever team member that you clicked on. Okay, pretty simple app, but we'll go ahead and get started. So I'll click on create new app here. Project name, you can call it whatever you want, maybe the name of your team followed by app or project. I'm just going to call it team project example, something like that. You then have to go down and click which categories are relevant. So I will click something like education and maybe something like productivity, something like that. Make sure that the drag and drop builder is enabled, and then we will click create. And so when this user interface loads right here, you are going to be met right in the middle with what looks like a smartphone screen, which is relevant because we're going to be making an app that is primarily used on smartphones probably. Okay, so we have the app here in the center. Over on the left, we have a bunch of different options and tools we can use. And then over on the right, we have the way to edit some of those options and tools to our liking. So this first screen is going to be a home screen. So I'm going to go up here to where it says screen 1. And I will call this screen home just to keep things consistent. And the first thing we want to do is we want to have a label up top that is telling us the name of our team. So I will drag this label. Okay, and I will just go over here and change the word label to something like team name. Okay, and of course you would put whatever team name that you have right here instead. You can go ahead and change the font to whatever you want. I'll choose the first thing that's there. I'll change the color to something like green, doesn't really matter. And then the font size, I'll make it something like 30, just so it's a little bit bigger. Okay. What you can do here as well is you could also upload a picture for a logo or something else. So we'll go ahead and do that right now, real quick. I'm going to grab this image and drag it over to the home screen. I'll make it smaller, a little more bite size, and I'll put it right up next to our team name. And then if you want your image loaded directly into the app, we can go over here to the right side. You can either upload a file or type in a URL, and it will upload or insert the picture accordingly. I'm going to go ahead and click upload file and see if there's something I can just find real quick on here. Let's go ahead and, there's our Academy logo. So I will click that and bam. So there's our logo there. There's our team name. You would just type in whatever team name is there. And a little later on, we're going to populate all of the information that we want for our team members. But first, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and make a second screen. So again, this home screen is going to list off each member of our team. And when we click on any one of those members, it will take us to this second screen right here that has all of the relevant information for that individual. So I'll go ahead and name this screen, let's call it team member info, something like that. And then we will go ahead and let's put in a back button first. How about that? So I'm going to drag this over, bring it down, and immediately it gives us a button. And I will change the button text to say back to indicate it is a back button. And if you wanted to change the font and the size and the color and all that stuff, you can, but I'm just going to leave it the same. And if we went ahead and kept this the way it was and went to preview mode, this is what the app would currently look like. And if we click back, you see that nothing happens. And the reason why is because we have not told the button to do something, right? In our heads, we have an idea of what we want it to do, but we have not told the program what we want it to do. So we have to go ahead and now code this. So over here at the top left corner, we've been under the design tab this whole time. We're going to go and head back to the block tab. And this is where we're going to do our drag and drop code. I'm going to click on button 1, our back button, and I'm going to drag over this line of code and drop it here. When button 1, which is our back button, we'll rename it in a little bit, is clicked, what will happen? Well, we want it to go back to the home screen, so we are going to drag this line of code that says navigate to the home screen. Okay, and so if we previewed our app again and we click back, bam, now we are back to our home screen, which is pretty cool. So we have a working back button now, which is really nice. We'll go back to design. For the button, like I said, we'll go ahead and name it button back. Okay. On home screen, we should make sure all this stuff is named as well. The team name, we'll call that label team name. And then for the image or for the logo, we'll call it image logo, something like that. Okay. So far, so good. We are eventually going to populate all of the information we want from this Google Sheet right here. It has just basic information. It has a name, which should normally be first and last name, but I just did student 1 through 21 or something like that. The name of your team, a photo of the team member, their email address, their position within the team, and then their plans after high school. So eventually we're going to map all of this into the app, but this is where the information is going to be pulled from, okay? We will go over to the second screen right now, and we'll start populating this information. We're going to go ahead and start dragging in a label like so. And like we did earlier, you can go ahead and change the font if you'd like. I will make this purple this time. Increase the font size. I'll name it to something like label team name. If I already have given something that name, it will automatically add a 1 or another number to the end of that name. And we are actually not going to manually change the word that's inside of here because we are, again, eventually going to want to pull the name out from our database into this label right here. Okay, so we're not going to manually do that. Some students might go, oh, well, if we have 21 team members, we'll go ahead and make 21 different screens, right? No, that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing is we're making one screen that can be used as a template to pull all that information from the database and direct it to this page, depending upon the name you click. This is a lot more efficient. This is very common in programming. You don't want to do what I call the hard coding, where you have 21 different screens. You want to do it very efficiently. So we'll add in a screen right here. You can kind of think of these as variables, right? This label as a variable because it will insert one of the names into here depending upon who we choose. And so that way your app is going to run faster and it's a lot cleaner process. So we'll call that label. I believe this is actually going to be team member name. So I'm going to call that team member name. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and add some other labels as well. I'm going to add another label for the team name now. So we'll go back here. From now on, I'm just going to keep it simple when it comes to the fonts and everything, just to make this go faster. The team name is meant to go right here. So now I will call this team name 1. After that, we should be able to pull an image of our team member. We'll make this smaller, maybe something like right here. Okay, so far we have their name, their team name, and then the picture of that team member. And then if you look at our spreadsheet right here of other information we wanted to pull, we've already pulled the first 3, and now we want to pull the second 3, the email address, their position, and their plans after high school. So we'll do just that. I'm going to put a label right here, another label right under it, and then a third label underneath that. These three labels are going to act as the titles, so they're not going to act as those variable locations. They're going to act as the actual hard-coded titles. So I'm actually going to make the box a little bit smaller. And that first one was email address. So I'm going to, instead of label, call this email. Okay, and then again, I'll change the component name to email. For the second one, it said that we wanted position. So we'll go back here and we will make this position. We'll call this label position. Okay, and then lastly, we will go down here. And that is eventually going to be plans after high school. So we'll do plans after high school. And we'll just call that label plan after HS. And then we'll go ahead and make these much smaller to sort of be on par with the email box. And now we will go ahead and insert three more labels that will act as the actual information being pulled from the database. So we'll do that, and I will call it, or we're not going to change that. We're going to change the component name though, and I'll just call it email again, and we'll add a 1 at the end. Bring in another one, and we'll make this the position. So label position. And then lastly, we'll do another label, and we'll name this component plan after HS. Drag it over here. Okay, so this is what our page is going to look like as of right now. Maybe I'll go ahead and just make sure that name is centered. Something like that. And of course, we'll see how it works, okay? So now the trick is we want to make sure our names are going to populate. So what we'll do is we'll go back to the home screen, and let's go ahead and insert that list of team names. Over here in the left side, there is a data viewer list tool. I will insert in like this. And we'll go ahead and make it sort of as big as the home screen just to give us the best view. And over here on the right-hand side, it'll say connect to data source. So now we actually need to connect this to our Google Sheets file. I already have one on file here. If you did not, you would just do create new. And then just make sure the name is correct and dig for it in your Google Drive and everything. But since I already did that, I will click this. Again, if you do not have a data source here, just click create new and then go and pick one of your already existing Google Sheets files. Okay. So we will go ahead and click that. Okay. And you'll see that the title and subtitles have already populated here for our box. And I will go down to the title subtitle part here. And we actually want, just for stylistic purposes, to have an image along with title and subtitle. So I'm going to click that instead. And now this comes up. And so that with that, let's go ahead and insert information that's relevant. So for the image, we obviously want to pull from the images on the sheet. So we'll do photo, I believe is the position. There we go. Those are all the stock photos I found online. That would correspond to the team member. For the title, we want that to be the team name, or the team member name. So we'll go to the name column on the sheets. Good, we have student 1 through 2. And then lastly, for the subtitle, we wanted to do the position. So I'm going to go ahead and do position. And there you have, okay? So the picture, the name of the student, and the position all corresponds to everything from our data sheet, which is really, really great. Okay, and if you went back to your app and you tried to preview the app so far, takes a little bit of time. There we go. So this is our home screen right here to have our team name with the logo, and then it would have each individual team member. And of course, when you click on the arrow here, nothing happens yet because surprise, surprise, we have to code the app to do what we want, which is when we click on this to head over to this screen and populate all of that information into these labels. Okay. And so with that, we are going to exit this, go back to editing, and now we're going to go back to the blocks tab. Okay. We're going to go back to the home screen because we're going to start by coding those buttons. And so far we have no coding on the home screen, but we will go down to the variables tab right here. And we will drag initialize app variable name to and place it. So you guys remember variables from our previous coding endeavors. And so we're essentially going to define a variable here so we know where we need to pull from and what information we want inside of our app. After this, we'll go down to objects and we are going to go to create object. Good. You can rename name to something that's a little more intuitive if you'd like. I'll go ahead and rename it to something like team member row object because we're going to tell it which rows to pull our information from. So now we're going to go ahead and define what information we wanted to pull. We're going to click on the data viewer list 1, and we are going to drag this first block in here. So when the data viewer list is clicked, what do we want it to do? Well, we'll go down to variables and we'll do set variable to, okay. Okay, so now we're going to go down to data sources, click that. And these are all of the data sources we have now. And we want to get row object from our data sheet. So we're going to drag that out and insert that in right here with the 2. Okay, that should all be correct. And then we'll take our row ID and we will also put that in for the placeholder id or ID right there. And then lastly, we're going to go back up to control, go back to that navigate to, line of code, we're going to insert it in right here. And then of course, when we click on the name, we're going to go ahead and want it to go to the team member info app. Okay, so we have the piece of the code right now that is pulling the info to the app, which is great. Now it doesn't know what to do with it, but it is at least pulling it. So since we do want it to go to the screen member info page, we'll go back to that page and we're going to tell it where to populate it. So we're going to go back to control. Oh wait, not yet. So we're going to click on the screen team member info. This is what we want right here. So we're going to drag the when it opens. So when the page opens here. And so we wanted to pull the team member name and place it. So we're going to click on label team member name. There it is. And then it is set, I'll drag this one out, set the label team member name, text to, and then we'll go down to objects here, and then insert the get property of objects next to the 2 here, okay? And then for the property name, we're going to name that the same name as the column that we're pulling from, which should actually just be name. Okay, and then lastly, we're going to click on objects because we have to insert an object right here. Oh, no, sorry, variables. There we go. Here's the variable. So go ahead and insert that in. All right. And so what this should do right now is when the screen team member info screen opens up here, then it is going to set the text over to whatever the name is inside of our database. And when you're typing in the names like you do right here, make sure whatever you type in here is very precise and accurate to what is on the data column here. So we just have literally just name. And so that's what I type. Be very careful about spaces you put in there, capitalizations and things like that. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to the home screen and we will test out the app to make sure that the name populates up there because that's all we've done so far. Click preview. Okay, there we go. So let's say we click student 1 engineer. It should now take us to the screen here. Oh, and we did make a little mistake here, but that's pretty easy to fix. If we go back to our code, I forgot to change the name of the variable here, so we'll just reflect what we wrote up here. The team member row object, we will just insert that in here like that. Okay. Now let's go ahead and try it again. And we click on student 1. It is now student 1. There we go. Okay, excellent, excellent. We can even click the back button, right, and go to student 4. Now it's all the information for student 4. Very good. So obviously we have yet to put in all the other data, for the team name and the position and email and things like that. So we will just go ahead and go back to the code and insert that in a similar manner. So with that, let's go ahead and go back to the team member info screen. And we're just going to copy and paste. So I'm going to right click on this, click duplicate. Okay, and instead of our team member name and all that stuff, we'll go ahead and do the next column over, or the one that we wanted inserted in, which was, if we look, we wanted the team name listed there. So we'll go ahead and come back. We will switch this to team name. Team name 1. Okay, and then we are going to change this to the name of the column over here, which again is just going to be team name. So we're going to do team name, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and drag this and put it straight under the one we've already done, like that. Let's go ahead and repeat this for the next one in the column over, which I believe is going to be the photo. So I'll right click this, I'll do duplicate, and this time we're going to do the, I believe the name was image 1. Okay, and then automatically change it to a picture because that's what it is. And then the name of that column is just photo, if you look at the Google Sheet. And then we'll go ahead and insert that in. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and do the remaining three. So email, position, and plans after high school. So we'll click this. And it should be email. Remember, the ones at the end were the variable label boxes we wanted the information to populate into. That's text, and then the exact name we said was email, just email. So we'll go ahead and do email. Email. Okay. We'll drag that in. Again, we'll go ahead and duplicate. And the next one is going to be position. So we'll change this to position 1. We'll go to the name, and the name again was just position on the Sheets file. We'll drag that in. And then lastly, we will go ahead and make one for the plan after high school. So plan after high school 1. And the exact name I said for this was what? Plan after HS. So we'll go back here and make sure we do plan after HS, so it knows where to pull from. Okay. And that should basically be it. So we will go ahead and go back to screen home, and we will test this out. And we'll go ahead to the preview. Okay, and so when we click on, let's say, student 5, there we have it. So you have the name of the student, you have their team, you have their photo, you have their email address with their actual, right, their email address with the label, position engineer, and then plans after high school, Harvard University. Pretty fancy. And then, of course, if we want to go to student 6, we can click back, go to student 6, and then all of their information is there as well. Okay, that is basically it. We'll be doing a little bit more with this later on with our big senior projects. But hope you had fun. Take care and goodbye.